everybody. Welcome to Astrologic Astrology, the astrology of I Am, and this week's Snapshot of the Sky. And it's back. It's that time of year again. It happens 3 times a year. What is it? Right. Mercury retrograde starts this week. To be exact, it starts on Saturday, May 29th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. Now, I mentioned last week that one of my best friends criticized me, chastised me, admonished me to not be so dogmatic when talking about Mercury retrograde. And I apologized last week for those who may have taken my words so seriously that they felt crippled or inhibited. So this week I have some notes. This season of Mercury retrograde, I have some notes so that I can be more specific and more detailed in my instructions for Mercury retrograde. I really don't ever want you to feel that there is only one way to proceed. As I said last week, we all have different conditioning, we all have different circumstances, we all have different ways of responding to everything. And so no astrologer, me included, no psychic, no one can tell you how to move specifically. At best, we're giving you conditions, the understanding of what the conditions are, and preparing you for possibilities so that you can take steps based on your circumstances to be successful. That's what this is all about. So this is no different. This is Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is a time that as I see it and understand it, is a time when the universe is saying, hey, slow down. You've been moving fast. You've been processing a lot. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some time to reflect. Give yourself some time to understand what you've been dealing with. Let it sink in and let it move you from the inside out before you go out and begin a new season of activity. Essentially, that's what Mercury retrograde is, right? So to the extent that you hear these doomsday reports or these be careful because of this or that, and to the extent that I even gave that impression in the past, don't listen to that, please, because again, we're giving you cosmic weather. We're the cosmic weather people. As astrologers, we know that there are certain conditions that exist, and you have to make the best choices for how you're going to proceed and process during those times. So with Mercury retrograde, it is pretty obvious that communications for many get challenged, and it is pretty obvious that in some cases there are technological problems like computers and things that have issues, and there are issues in dealing with people because of misunderstandings. So I gave myself some homework, and I want to share with you the results of the homework. I wrote down tips for you for dealing with Mercury retrograde so that you wouldn't feel overwhelmed by all the information that you're receiving. So I've got 5 Mercury retrograde tips and 1 extra bonus to share with you, okay? So the first one is just understand that things are going to be less than perfect. And if you can be willing to not have everything work out exactly the way you think it should, it can actually mean that there will be some surprises that will be positive. You may be wanting to see something happen in a very specific way, and then it doesn't happen that way, but the way it does unfold is like, whoa, I didn't think about that. That's kind of cool. And whether or not you use it in that exact moment, you may use it at a later time. It may become a resource for you to include in your toolkit for the next time. Or it could be something you jump into right then and say, ooh, never thought about that, but that's cool. Let's do that. Let's go in that direction. This direction is pretty good. So Mercury retrograde could be positive in that it brings a change in perspective that you didn't realize was there until that moment. Okay, number 2, stay positive in the face of challenges, especially challenges that have to do with issues that are recurring, old problems. People come back and bring stuff to your attention that wasn't done correctly, or they felt a certain way about based on something in the past. A lot of times Mercury retrograde brings up issues that we're not really clear, haven't been resolved to the satisfaction of everyone. So there may be people who have some still lingering issues and they bring them to you. Stay positive in the face of those and any other challenges that come up during this time, because they're coming back so that they can be healed, so that they can be cleared, so that you can have a new perspective, and so that you can move on after really looking into what the issue is again. So stay positive. Number 3, be as flexible as you can be. I mentioned to you before that in Buddhist sutras, the Buddha says when you have mixed intentions, you get mixed results. When you have positive intentions, you get positive results. And when you have negative intentions, you get negative results. Sometimes we get a mixture of 3, all 3. Sometimes you're not even clear that you have mixed intentions. And sometimes you may just be sour and have some bad intentions and don't realize the effects of them. So be flexible, because you may have some intentions that you're not clear about. And this time will show you what your intentions are by the way people respond. So be flexible and know that there may be some things to look at that you need to look at, and it's a good thing. 4th tip is be careful about criticizing other people during Mercury retrograde. People are sensitive now. People will take what you say and they will hold it within, and it will ruminate in their head, and they will it will fester, and it will be something that causes some sense of discomfort at the very least. And you don't want to be about that. You don't want to bring that energy, especially during a time when we're all having to reevaluate things. So be careful about being critical of other people. Try your best not to criticize. And if people come to you with criticism, as I said before, take a deep breath and say, okay, I understand. I hear you. This is a time when I'm supposed to be dealing with being open and flexible, and dealing with accepting that there may be old things coming back up. So, okay, I don't like it, but I'm gonna be calm and deal with it. Okay, so just be aware of that. And a very important one, and one of the things that caused my friend to be upset the last time we had Mercury retrograde was when I mentioned be careful about signing documents. And sometimes you have to sign documents. Sometimes you have to sign contracts. Sometimes you have to make agreements during Mercury retrograde. But if you do, just be careful. Dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Just be extra scrupulous, because you don't want some misunderstood clause or misunderstood intention to cause problems later. And you don't want to be misunderstood later based on not having all the accurate information and responding to something without absolute clarity. And unfortunately, during this 3-week period, 5 if you add the 2 weeks of Mercury shadow before Mercury really begins, there's just the opportunity for misunderstandings. It's just, that's what the energy is. And so we have to just double down and be clear that whatever we sign, whatever we agree, that we understand the commitment, we understand the effort that's going to take to make these things happen, we understand what our real resources are, and we understand what we're really capable of, and we're not being overly optimistic about whatever it is. We're just being sober. So this is a good time to be sober about signing anything. If you can wait, please do. If you are in a situation where you need to go forward, just maybe have someone else look over it with you. Maybe have someone else examine it to have a second pair of eyes. Finally, the bonus suggestion is keep a journal. Keep a Mercury retrograde journal. Find out for yourself what Mercury retrograde is doing in your life and in the lives of other people. See for yourself if there's some challenges. Like, for instance, I've noticed that whenever there's a Mercury retrograde, sometime during that period, there's a national weather event. It may not affect everyone in the country, but everyone knows about it because it's such a big deal wherever it happens that we all have to pay attention to it because it's in the news. I've noticed that consistently during Mercury retrogrades. But keep a journal and see what you feel, see what you learn. See if there's something that recurs. Maybe someone calls from your life in the past, from your past life, from your sense, not your past life, but someone you've known in the past may come back and just want to communicate with you. By the way, if old lovers come during this time, take them with a grain of salt. They're just curious. They're not really coming back to offer anything serious. If they do, make them prove it over time. Don't just jump into it because of Mercury retrograde. Don't just jump into it knowing that there is a Mercury retrograde and you want to be careful. All right. So keep a journal though, because then you can start to know for yourself the things that are happening, the things that the computer didn't work unexpectedly, the car had an issue unexpectedly, the toaster, someone misunderstood something you said, you felt weird about something that someone said. Just keep notes and see if there's something that you can get insight from, or maybe something that you can get relief from, right? It could be useful to keep a journal. That's the bonus idea. That's the bonus tip. And just wanted to say there's a couple of aspects this week to be aware of. Venus is going to square Neptune on Thursday, and that means that there could be some disappointment in love, so be aware of that. But then right after that, on Friday, Venus will conjunct Mercury, so this is a good time to celebrate the thoughts of love and the thoughts of communicating love with other people. So give yourself the opportunity to tell people you care about them and that you feel good about them, and just tell them what you value about them. It's a great way to begin retrograde as long as you keep in mind all the things that we just mentioned, and it's a good time to hear what people have to say. This Gemini period is really good for listening and communicating. And the Mercury retrograde is in Gemini, so it's all about understanding that communication is multi-dimensional, multi-layered, and there are different approaches. We all have different approaches. So be open, be flexible, be positive, reach for the best, have the best intentions, and take it easy. Mercury retrograde is a time to relax from all the hustle and bustle of the last couple of months. It's a time to review, look back and see what you've been through, what has been happening, how has it affected you. It's a time to do anything that allows you to put the prefix re in front of it, reevaluate, redesign. Anything that has to do with re is a great thing to do for Mercury retrograde. So I hope this is a useful message this time. I hope it's not overbearing. I hope it's not frightening. And I hope I'm not making you feel that there's anything that is frightening or something that you have to fear, because there's nothing to fear. And all you have to do is just be aware of the possibilities and make the most of them. I hope this message helps in that regard. If you need help, call me, contact me at astrologicastrology.com. You can check other messages out on the YouTube channel and on Instagram at Astrologic Astrology. And what else? That's it. Oh, tell people about this message. Tell people about this channel. Please like, please subscribe, and share. Thank you. This is a lot today. I wanted to get as much as I could in to give a rounded perspective on Mercury retrograde. So, as always, wishing you love and peace. And we say goodbye with the word namaste. The spirit in me recognizes and honors the spirit in you.